When you're using PowerPoint to make diagrams or drawings yourself, you do have an array of tools to find in the ribbon bars. On the home ribbon, you do have a drawing section that has everything you need. You can also find this on the insert ribbon as well. So there's one on the insert ribbon where you can find you've got shapes. Now these are quite common in all the Office products, and you can quickly draw a shape. So I can pick a rectangle, draw out a rectangle. Once I draw a shape, it has its own dedicated ribbon bar. If you look across the top, you'll notice we got the shape format ribbon. Earlier versions might be called format. With this selected, I could format it using some of the Microsoft preset designs here, and I can just go over these to apply one of the special formats that they've given us to begin with. If you want to type any text on any shape, whether it's a square, a rectangle, a star, a circle, any shape can have text on it just by typing on the keyboard. Make sure you've got the item selected and then type. So if we just call this rectangle, and you can see it types the text in there. Now do treat these as normal text boxes, so you can click on the edge of the shape, so you've got the whole shape selected. I could then go to my home ribbon, increase the font size, make it bold, change the colour, the font face and everything else that you would normally do with text in a text box. We can drag these around. We can also resize them as well. If you want to make copies of these, a quick way is Control D. That will duplicate the shape like this. You can also use your copy and paste. Now if you have multiple shapes and they're all different sizes, and you decide you want them all to be of similar shape and size, you could select all of these and resize them all in one. And the way that you do this is you can select a shape, and you can select multiple shapes by holding down the Shift key on the keyboard as you click on each one. You'll notice all three are now selected. If I was to stretch one, the others will stretch in tandem. If we go back to our shape format ribbon, you'll see over on the far right are these sizes where you can specify how tall you want all three shapes to be. Now I might say I want them 2 centimeters, and I might want them 5 centimeters wide, and you can type this in, and there you can see all of my shapes are the same size. I then may want to line these up so they're in a nice straight row. With all three selected, once again on my format ribbon, you'll notice that you have some buttons, and one of them is called Align, and I can ask to align these all to the left, to the center, to the right. Align to top. Now I'm going to choose Align to top. That means that all three shapes will be aligned by their top edge, and it bases it on the most upper one. So I think this one here is the topmost one, so these other two will jump up in line with the top edge of that. Watch what happens. Align to top. There you can see all three shapes are lined up. Now I want to space these out. Now bear in mind that if you are going to use the spacing horizontal or vertical tool, you must set where you want your goalposts. In other words, the two outer ones. So this one on my right and the one on the left are not going to move. They're my goalposts. You must set those to begin with. You can then go into the Align, and you'll see there's two buttons, Distribute horizontally and vertically. We want horizontally, and that will space out the shapes perfectly in line. And there's your alignment. You'll also notice that when you drag pictures, boxes, shapes around the screen, they can snap into a line. Now here I've got what's called Smart Align. Now this first appeared in 2013 and above. You'll notice that I've got some arrows which are telling me I'm the same distance away from the middle one as the one on the left. Now watch what happens if I was to move this down here. Can you note that I get these dotted lines appear? These are called smart guides. It tells me I'm perfectly in line with the top one. If I now grab this other box, I can move this and do two things. One, make sure it's lined up with the one above and below, but also note the little arrows that appear when it knows I've got the same distance between each of the shapes. Now this can be turned on and off. It's called Smart, and if you click on the view ribbon, first of all you can see you've got the guides, grid lines and the ruler turned on. But also in this you'll notice there's a little button here called Show, which is your grid settings, and when you click on that you can now see that you have these options to snap objects to a grid. In the background of every slide is an invisible grid, and if you tick that you will then notice that as you start to move things around they will snap almost like a magnet to this invisible grid. This is the tick box we were talking about, display smart guides when shapes are aligned. You can turn that on or off. You can also set the grid here as well. We can click OK. When I move these shapes around they kind of snap into place, and of course I've got my smart guides on as well. If you are creating multiple shapes, so if we put in more shapes, maybe a circle, you can move this around. You will notice that the circle is in front of the rectangles, and that's because I drew that last. It's almost like a stack of cards. Whichever order you draw shapes in or bring photographs in, they will be stacked in that order. Now say for example I want this circle behind the rectangles, then I can again use my shape format ribbon, sometimes called format, and I can ask it to bring forward or send backwards. If you click on the drop down you can see there's an option to send to back, and if I click on that you can see it sent my shape, the circle, to the back of the stack of drawings.